Every day it happens the same way. You pick up your keys, put on your shoes, maybe grab your bag. Your cat is watching quietly from across the room. Then, you walk to the front door, you open it, step outside, and just like that, you're gone. The house becomes silent. No footsteps, no familiar voice, no movement, just your cat, alone. But what happens next? Does your cat simply forget about you? Does it spend the day sleeping without a care in the world? Or is something much deeper happening inside its mind? For years, many people believed cats were distant, independent, almost unaffected by our absence. But what researchers have discovered tells a very different story, and by the end of this video, you may never leave home the same way again. If we could ask our cats one simple question: how do you feel when I leave? What do you think the answer would be? Most people imagine one of two extremes: either, my cat doesn't care at all, or, my cat spends the whole day waiting for me. But cats rarely experience the world in such simple ways. Their emotions, their routines, even the way they experience your absence are far more subtle than most people realize. And understanding those feelings starts with one important fact: your cat doesn't just recognize you. It builds its entire daily routine around you. The moment your front door closes, your cat notices. Not because it understands where you're going, and not because it knows when you'll be back, but because something in its world has suddenly changed. The sounds inside the house are different. Your footsteps disappear. Your voice is gone. Even the rhythm of the home feels quieter. For us, leaving the house is just another part of the day. But for your cat, it's the beginning of an entirely different routine. At first, many cats don't react dramatically. They won't run after the door. They won't cry for hours. In fact, some cats simply sit still for a few moments, almost as if they're processing what just happened. Then, they move on. Some walk to the nearest window. Others jump onto a favorite chair. Some quietly return to the exact spot where you were sitting only minutes before. To someone watching, it might look like nothing important is happening, but appearances can be surprisingly misleading. Because your cat isn't asking one question: why did my human leave? Instead, it's adjusting to a change in its environment. Cats are creatures of routine. Almost every part of their day follows familiar patterns. They know when breakfast usually arrives. They know when the house becomes quiet. They know when the afternoon sunlight reaches their favorite sleeping spot. And without you realizing it, they also learn the moments when you usually leave, and the moments when you usually come back. Your schedule slowly becomes part of theirs, day after day, week after week, until your routine feels completely normal to them. Which raises an interesting question. If your cat has learned your routine so well, does it actually know that you'll come home? Or does every goodbye feel uncertain? The answer is far more fascinating than most people expect. It's easy to assume that your cat understands exactly what's happening, that when you leave, it simply thinks, my human will be back later. But the truth isn't quite that simple. Cats don't think about time the way we do. They don't look at a clock. They don't count the hours. They don't know if you've been gone for 20 minutes or 3 hours. Instead, they experience time through something completely different: patterns, familiar sounds, light moving through the windows, the changing smells inside the house, the daily routine they've learned over hundreds of ordinary days. Imagine this. Every weekday, you leave at almost the same time. The house becomes quiet. Your cat explores, eats, finds a sunny spot, then curls up and falls asleep. Hours pass. The sunlight slowly moves across the floor. The sounds outside the window change. Birds come and go. Cars pass by. Everything follows a rhythm. And then, something familiar happens. A car pulls into the driveway. Footsteps approach the front door. Keys gently rattle against the lock. Your scent begins to fill the hallway again. None of those things happened by accident. Your cat has experienced them hundreds of times before. Little by little, it learns that those sounds almost always mean one thing: your home. This is one of the reasons many cats seem to appear near the front door just before you walk inside. Not because they can magically predict the future, but because they've become incredibly good at recognizing the tiny patterns that happen before your return. And cats are experts at noticing details. Details that most humans never even realize are there. A different sound, a different smell, a different routine. But perhaps the biggest question still remains: what happens emotionally while you're gone? Does your cat actually miss you? Or is it simply waiting for its routine to return? The answer might surprise you even more. So, does your cat actually miss you? The answer isn't as simple as yes or no, because cats don't experience relationships the same way humans do. They don't miss someone by constantly thinking about them every minute of the day. Instead, they build strong emotional associations: your voice, your scent, your daily routine, the places where you usually sit, even the sound of your footsteps moving through the house. Over time, those ordinary moments become part of your cat's world. That's why researchers have discovered that many cats form secure emotional bonds with the people they trust the most. For a long time, cats were thought to be completely independent animals. Unlike dogs, they were believed to care more about places than people. But recent studies have challenged that idea. Researchers found that many cats use their owners as a source of comfort and security, not because they're dependent, but because they've learned that certain people make their world feel safe. Of course, every cat is different. Some are naturally more independent. Others are incredibly social. Some barely react when you leave, yet become excited the moment you return. Others spend part of the day sleeping in your favorite chair, simply because it smells like you. And then there are cats that quietly wait near a window, or close to the front door, not because they're counting the hours, but because those places have become associated with your return. This is something many owners misunderstand. They think, if my cat sleeps all day, it probably doesn't care that I'm gone. But sleeping is one of the most natural things a healthy cat can do. Adult cats often sleep between 12 and 16 hours every single day. So a sleeping cat isn't necessarily an uncaring cat. In fact, feeling relaxed enough to sleep deeply can actually be a sign that your cat feels safe in the environment you've created together. Trust doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes, trust looks like complete relaxation. And that's something many people never realize. Because relationships aren't built through one big moment. They're built through hundreds of tiny moments. Every meal you've served, every game you've played together, every quiet evening on the couch, every gentle head scratch, every time your cat chose to sit beside you instead of somewhere else, little by little, without either of you noticing. A bond was being built, one ordinary day at a time. Then, at the end of the day, something changes. A familiar sound breaks the silence. A car pulling into the driveway, footsteps outside, keys gently rattling against the front door. Long before you even step inside, your cat may already know, not because it has been counting the hours, but because those sounds have become part of a pattern it knows by heart. The door opens. Your scent fills the hallway again. Your voice returns. And just like that, something familiar is back. Some cats run to greet you. Some stay exactly where they are, pretending they didn't notice. Others slowly stretch, walk toward you, and quietly rub against your legs. Every cat has its own personality. Every cat has its own way of showing affection. That's why comparing your cat to someone else's rarely tells you anything. The loudest cat isn't always the one that's most attached, and the quietest cat isn't necessarily the one that cares the least. Cats often express emotions in subtle ways: a slow blink, a relaxed posture, choosing to sleep beside you, following you from room to room, sitting quietly nearby without asking for anything. These small moments often say far more than a loud meow ever could. Which brings us back to the question we started with. What does your cat really feel when you leave home? Maybe it doesn't spend the entire day thinking about you. Maybe it isn't sitting by the front door for hours. Maybe it even sleeps through most of the afternoon. But that doesn't mean your absence goes unnoticed, because your cat has built its world around familiarity, around routines, around trust, and somewhere inside those everyday routines, there's a place that's uniquely yours. You are the voice it recognizes, the footsteps it has learned, the scent that makes the house feel familiar, the person who has become part of its safest place. So the next time you leave home and your cat quietly watches you walk out the door, take one last look before you close the door, because although your cat may not understand where you're going, it understands that something familiar has disappeared. And when you finally return, you're not just another person walking through the front door. You're the sound it recognizes, the scent it knows, the routine it has learned to trust, the presence that makes everything feel normal again. Because to your cat, home isn't only the place where it eats, or sleeps, or plays. Home is the place where it feels safe. And for many cats, that feeling begins the moment you walk back through the door. If you enjoyed this video and want to better understand the hidden world of cats, make sure to subscribe to Feline Mind, because the more you understand your cat, the stronger the bond between you becomes. And we'll see you in the next video.